Hello, Jaguar students. It's your friendly neighborhood math teacher, Mr. Allred, and I'm here to welcome you to Unit 1, mini lesson number 3. We're going to work today about subtracting integers. All right. Your learning goal today is you should be able to formulate rules to use to solve integer subtraction problems. Please remember that earlier this week we talked about adding integers, and we really looked at 3 different things that could happen. We said that you might take 2 positive numbers and add them together. 4 plus 5 is still 9. We said you might take 2 negative numbers and add them together. -4 plus -5 would be -9. And then finally, we said that you could add numbers with different signs, like -4 plus 5. We said we could subtract the 2 numbers and take the absolute value of the bigger numbers. That's what we did earlier this week with addition. I wanted to remind you this is your 4th entry in the table of contents. Here's a quick reminder of what you should have right now. This is tomorrow's date because you should be watching this tonight right now for homework. But tomorrow is the day we're going to work out in class. So I put that date up there. Are there any questions about the table of contents? You can ask me if you have any questions about it. All right, we're going to start with the notes. When we work through these math problems, we're going to try to model them with chips, some of them, and then we're going to try to use the number line to model them as well. So please try to stay with me on both the left and right-hand side of your paper as I try to model some of these with chips and some of these with the number line. Okay, first thing we're going to look at here is -3 minus 6. Here's -3 minus 6. We're going to start with -3 chips. And the problem is asking us to take away 6 chips. It's asking us to take away 6 chips, but we don't have 6 chips. So if you think back to last week when we did that directed numbers activity, we said that we could put 6 positive chips up there, but if we put 6 positive chips up there, we also have to put 6 negative chips up there as well. When we do that, our problem still says 3. It still says +3 or -3. When you look up here on the number line or on the chips, you still have 3 more negative chips than positive chips. So your problem still says -3. But now you have 6 positive chips that you can take away. That's me crossing them out. I'm taking them away. And after you take away those positive chips, you're left with -9 chips. So -3 minus 6 should be -9. Okay, on the number line, it's not that different. You're going to start at -3, so you're going to count left from 0 3 times and up at -3. And then you're going to go the opposite of 6. So we're going to do the opposite of +6. Subtraction means opposite. That's what the subtraction sign means. I would draw a nice big arrow from opposite to that subtraction sign. Okay, so we're going to go left 6 times. We're going to go to the left 6 times. That's us subtracting 6. And we end up right here at -9. That's where we end up, right there at -9. That tells us, again, that -3 minus 6 should be -9. And maybe you're noticing, hey, that's kind of like if we did -3 plus -6. Kind of the same thing there. But I've got -3 minus 6, and that takes me to -9. Okay? Similar math problem, we're going to do +4 minus -5. So we're going to start with +4 chips, and we're going to take those +4 chips, and it wants us to take away the -5 chips. Just like before, we don't have -5 chips, so we can throw them up there. Here's the -5 chips. And then I can take away, after I put -5 chips in there, I've got to put 5 positive chips up there so that my chips still say +4, but then I can take away those -5 chips. So 4 minus -5 should be +9. There's 9 positive chips left. 9 positive chips left. I can do the same thing right here on this number line. If I start at +4, go to the right 4 times to +4, then I'm going to go the opposite of -5. So before, when I went the opposite of 5, I went to the left. This time I'm going to go the opposite of -5, so I'm going to go to the right 5 times. If I go to the right 5 times from +4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I end up right here at +9. So again, -4 minus -5 should be +9. You might have noticed there, that was kind of like if you took 4 and added 5 to it. That's because subtracting a negative is just like adding a positive. So if you're taking away negativity, that's like you're adding in positivity to your life, and you're taking away some of the negativity, you're adding in some positivity. Okay? And that might be confusing here at first, but we're going to work on it a little bit more here in these notes and some more in class tomorrow when you get to class. I'm going to do one more math problem here for you, here on the left. I'm going to ask you to, Edpuzzle is going to ask you to do one more after that. And then I'm going to give you a general rule for subtracting integers. Okay, we're going to start with -6 minus positive 3. We're going to start with 6 negative chips. It wants us to take away 3 positive chips, but we don't have 3 positive chips yet, so we put them up there, and we have to throw up their 0 pair counterparts. So now I do have 3 positive chips I can get rid of, and all my chips together, they still say -6. All these bad boys all together still say -6, so I'm in a good place. Okay. Now when I take away those 3 positive chips, I get rid of them. Now I have -9 chips left. Got -9 chips left. Okay. -9 chips left after I take away some of those positive chips. I can do the same thing with the number line. If I start at -6, get away the -6, and I'm going to do the opposite of +3, so I'm going to go to the left 3 times, and that's going to end me right here where it says -9, just like I got before. Okay, so if I start negative and I subtract a positive, I only make an even smaller negative number. All right. Edpuzzle is going to ask you to do number 2, and you're going to see if you get number 2 right. I'm going to tell you if you're right or wrong, and then I'm going to tell you my rule for adding or for subtracting integers. Great job. Here's my rule. So when you want to subtract integers, you can add the opposite and then use the same rules we had when we added integers. So if you have, for example, a problem that says -5 minus 6, it might be easier for you to think of that as -5 plus -6, which we know is -11 because we can add those negative signs together. So you're going to add the opposite and use the same rule for adding integers. Okay? If that still doesn't make sense, you can always use chips. You can always use a number line. Okay? Those are still both acceptable forms of mathematics, but here's my rule. Add the opposite and use the same rules we had for adding integers. Okay? On the back, of course, you're going to write a summary when we get to class tomorrow. Please don't do any of these practice problems yet. Please take the rest of the night off. Remember that of all my students you've ever taught, you are one of them. Thank you and have a nice day. Appreciate it.